everybody. It's your host, Empress Red here. I am with my good friend on the outs. What is up? So good to chat with you. It's been a while.
Oh my
Not
goodness.
really
Wait,
a
I'm
while.
on screen. I'm gonna have to I've never done this before where we like record. Can you do that
What are
again?
you talking about? You totally have like a bunch of YouTube videos where you're doing like, you
Oh
know,
my God. Oh my God. Okay.
podcasting.
I'm ready.
You ready? Ready? Are
Yes.
you ready? Ready?
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. All right. Okay. All right. So like we're so used to chatting like just over chat, like basically like voice text. For those of you that don't know, we're old friends. We've been friends for a long time. I'm interviewing you. I'm so excited. You have your first show coming up in 10 years.
Yeah, no, first show in like over almost 14 years.
Really, 14
It's
years?
crazy.
Oh my God.
Yep.
How you feeling
Yep.
about it?
Yeah, it's been a long time, but as soon as I get up there, I know
Oh,
it's
totally.
gonna be all good. Yep.
It's gonna be fire. Like you're gonna get up there and that energy is gonna hit you and you're just gonna be like, yes. All right. So this is on the outs. So you have been rapping for a very long time. You've had the opportunity to share the stage with some amazing folk over the years. And then you went into retirement and you didn't make music for a very long time. And you just put together blah, 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 blah. Why did I just lose? Sorry, it's been a long day. So all I ever needed, I wanted to talk about that a little bit because you hadn't done a track in a while, and that one was really that one hit heavy. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I moved out of the Bay Area for, personal reasons and I shut all the music down in 2012. But I still tried to make music for a few years until everything just kind of, hit the fan and I completely shut that part off of me. So,
Right.
coming back to it, I came back to it at a time in my life where I was in a very dark place. Now,
Mhm.
um, the first song I wrote wasn't all I ever needed, but that was the second one, and this was last year when I started picking up the pen again and started writing. So all I ever needed actually came about because I ended up linking up with this producer Vidal Garcia, who I've known since he was little, um, and the individual that one of the two main guys that I came up making music with, Jay Fella. They stayed very good friends and stayed in touch. And but since I was already working with Vidal, I hit up Jay Fella and I was like, man, we need to do a song together. Um, because I had even like going through my life, I had broke off from them, all these people that I grew up with and that I came up with, not only as a rapper, but as as friends. We had linked before, after we hadn't seen each other in many years, and we sat and talked and broke bread and everything. We talked about doing a song. It never happened.
Mhm.
That was about 10 years ago. So finally I was like, look, man, this it's gonna happen now.
It's
So
time.
this time, this is it. It was like it
Right.
was right because Jay Fella was coming out of his own retirement. Like, he had been through a lot of stuff in his life, and he was finally like, he had just lost his mom. Actually, he just talked about this in an interview too, where he was like, "Man, I felt like before she passed, she was talking to him about like for him to continue to do his passion." So it's funny. We're both kind of at this, fork in the road at our stage in life right now. We're both getting back to our music. And so I was like, Vidal, you got to hit me up, throw me some beats. And he sent me an email with like, I don't know, 8, 10 beats. And he had one saved that was entitled Gloria, which is my mom's name. So that was the first one I listened. I was like, oh, let me
You
check
like
that one out.
zeroed in on that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pulled
Yeah.
it up. And right when I heard it, I was like, this is it. So I knew it. I went home. I wrote my verse. I hit up Fella and was like, yo, this is the name of the song. Here's the beat. This is the vibe. And I talked about basically I gave homage to where I came from. And
Mhm.
all I ever needed, the title came from because there's a sample in it that says all I ever it basically says that in the song. But I took it as like all I ever what do we need in life? And it was, to me, it was talking
Yes.
about the music. Like, this is all I ever needed to get back to
Mhm.
doing this. And I kind of told fella, like, look, just talk about, like getting back into the music, where we came from, where we're at now, and it all fell together. And when I went and recorded, I hadn't heard his verses yet. I had mine, he had his, and we met up in the studio, and it was, yep, made it
It's an
happen.
amazing song. One of the things that I zeroed in on it in that song, and I know you personally, so it's like there's a lot that went into that song that has like a huge impact. But there's a line in there about like, about the universe giving you, God giving you a reason to breathe, right? And then you talk about your kids, you talk about like the things that life has brought to you. And I couldn't help but think about it. And then I started thinking about like some of your earlier tracks. You were young, you were green, you're definitely like, I don't think you're any less passionate than you were then, but I think the direction has changed. And so one of the things that really stuck out to me was like, just that focus on like, here's all the things. There's the music, but there's also the family aspect and all of those things that given you like a higher purpose overall.
That's so funny because another childhood friend that was very, very important, and who I am is Ony Balacal, who's from New York. I've known him since I was in second grade, and he uh he just is, again, same thing, man. He's like, I gotta get back to the music just for the love of it. And I shared him a couple of the unreleased songs that I did, and he was like, yeah, man, because I see, but it's more personal now. And
Hmm.
so, like, yeah, for him to even recognize that, and yeah, it's like, for me as a rapper, the music. First off, I've always been driven by like deep emotion, and I've being somebody that's been inspired by Tupac, and who went through a lot of turmoil as a teenager. Who, and my favorite quote that I live by is, I'm not saying I'm gonna change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. I always wanted to use my music as a tool to change the world. So I went through, I mean, the focus was, I was on that whole like militant, like for a minute. I even went through the phase where it's like coming up where I came up from in the Bay Area and doing the dumb ish that I did. There was a point where I stopped rapping for a quick minute because I was
Hmm.
trying to find myself. Like, I need to get my life back. And then
Yeah.
because I went through that, I came back to the music thinking like, oh, I was really turned on by the quote unquote conscious hip hop. I was big on like Quali and Most Def, Black Star, which I still love. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong,
Like
like, Common.
atmosphere, like yeah, totally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and but um I realized, though, when I went through that little phase, that like this whole labeling of like conscious hip hop, grimy, like, that ain't me. I can't fit into a box. So I had to
No.
kind of, but again, this is all, we go through life and we try to figure out who we are, where our voice is. And I think having kids young, it brought me back to this. I was always, one thing I will say, I always keep an edge, a grimy edge, because, like, first off, life is grimy, even for
Yes, it
people
is.
that it may be grimy in other ways. You may be
Right.
living in the suburbs, but you got an abusive household that you have to go home to. Like, we don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, now, it's like, again, thinking about like wanting to use my music as a way to change the world or impact. I understand more now that,
Hmm.
coming from a personal level, we could talk about revolution, we could talk about like what's going on in the streets, and all that, but if we're not taking it or speaking on it from a personal level, it's not going to hit as hard. So as long as I keep it on that personal level, I think it can hit each individual, more potently. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and you're right. It does need to stay on a personal. It needs to be on a personal level, but it's always attuned to whatever your experience is, right? So, whatever your experience was 20 years ago, right? We're all fighting the popo back then, I mean, we're still fighting the popo, but it's a little different because now we got family members to deal with. Now we've got this, now we've got that. And it definitely changes with children. That is different once you start seeing the world through their eyes. I definitely feel like the experience changes, and it changes the overall vibe of the music. And honestly, you shouldn't box yourself in anyway, because there's no reason why you can't be passionate. You can't, have your political opinions, have, be able to relay what your street experience is, but also be able to relay what the personal experience is that might appeal at a universal level. And you can still
Absolutely.
speak spirit through all
Yep.
of that.
Yep.
That doesn't have to change.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Mhm.
Perfectly stated. Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. I actually wrote down some questions. Can you believe this? So I did this in the last like half an hour. It's like, I don't know. We talk about so much all the time. I think I wanted to cover like, what some of the contrast was between your perspective on the music, 20 years ago versus today. And I think you've already started touching upon that. But and then one of those things, I was listening to Hopeless. And
Yes.
that one, of course, that's Tupac right there. That's like, and you mentioned that that was recorded on September 13th of '00, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I beeped out the year just for like, to make it relevant
what year
no
did you
matter.
actually
So
but it was
I recorded
recorded?
20 years ago. Yep, on his death
Yeah.
day, on Tupac's death day,
Oh my gosh.
2005.
How does that impact you nowadays? I mean, do you go back and listen to that song and be like, oh
Yeah.
shit, okay,
Well,
you know?
I mean, I go back and listen to these songs. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, let me record my verse. So, okay.
It can't be
So,
one of those songs though.
I mean, well, I'll answer that in two ways. Yeah, that song,
Okay.
even now, like, is probably one of my favorite songs I did from that time period. Of course, I called it Hopeless. There's a song called Lord Knows that Tupac did that's on his Me Against the
Yes.
World album, where he
Yeah.
says, I smoke a blunt to take the pain out. If it wasn't high, I'd probably try to blow my brains out. I'm
Oh
hopeless.
my
It's
God,
gonna
I
kill the
love
music,
that.
baby. Yeah, so I took that bar and made it the hook. So and I produced
Hmm.
that beat. And even that beat, solid, solid. Um,
It's still
my thing
solid.
is back then, so this is just me as an artist being like recording wise. I was still running ADAT tapes.
Uh-huh.
No Pro Tools, no nothing. So like there was no way of like punching in or like my stuff was messy, man. And back then I still do my double ups and everything and but it was
The double ups were really heavy back then.
heavy back then and it was just
Hmm.
it wasn't as clean. Like all my stuff wasn't as clean as I would
Yeah.
wanted it to be. And I felt like that sometimes took away the energy. Like I look at so much of my music and was like, if I actually took the time and you know had better studio ethics, not in a work ethic, because I was pumping out, I was almost on my Tupac stuff,
Got
like
the work
thinking
ethic, absolutely.
I need to get this, but I should have took more time to kind of hone in each track and get it cleaner. So, but
Yeah.
ultimately, yeah, I mean that song was very personal because I even tell stories in there. Like I think what the last verse was about a young girl like getting raped
Oh,
and
her name was Jennifer.
yep.
Hmm.
So you
Yes.
know,
That song's
yeah,
actually pretty fresh in my mind. So yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah, I was brushing up, right? I was listening to a lot of stuff and I was like, wow, I hadn't listened to this in, I don't know, 20 years since you released it. I can't even remember how long ago it's been. Um I do think though, even before Pro Tools, I don't know if you were using Acid Music before it was Pro Tools. Not to age ourselves here,
yeah,
but
yeah,
Pro Tools was kind of messy. at first in general, I mean, not, yeah, I would definitely say like there's some areas, just from an artist standpoint, I completely agree with you. Going back and going, oh, I would have done this, oh, I would have done that. But I also think that to some degree resources were limited, especially if you didn't have a whole lot of money, because if you relied on other people who had the investment capacity that you didn't have, then you were at the mercy of availability, you're at the mercy of whatever technology that they have, and then Pro Tools were fun, but they were still so primitive back then.
Yeah, it was. I remember I took a class. I signed up for a class at a community college to learn how to do Pro Tools, and the teacher did not know how to do Pro Tools, use Pro Tools. It was hilarious. I dropped it after like 2 weeks.
Where at? Was
I
it
was
at
like,
Contra
"This is."
Costa?
It was at Contra Costa, and I would. It was funny because it's like we spent all class like with the teacher trying to ask the students what. I'm like, oh my god, this is
Were
ridiculous.
you like teaching the teacher?
No, because I hadn't ever used it yet.
Oh
Now
my
keep in
God.
mind, so I mean, I did have because I worked my ass off back then, and I took
You
all my
did work
tip
your ass
money.
off.
I
Yeah.
took all my tip money and that I was earning at my job and like put it into my studio and my music. So I had solid stuff, but it was all analog. I
Yeah.
did nothing, um, which is fine and great, but so I actually did have a solid recording setup. I just again, even with that setup, because if you go to a professional studio, even back then, even all the analog stuff is MIDI and synced to
Right.
some type of Pro Tools, that or
Right.
software where you're still in a computer running the mixing board and making sure you're and I remember like when you had to track out the master, I have my 9 finger or 8 finger, sorry, on
My
each of
God,
the
all blue.
and I'm like, oh, this gotta come down, this gotta, it was nuts. So
Oh my
but
God, that's
yeah, I
going way
mean,
back.
yeah, where now I don't think artists understand how privileged they are these days to be able to have
Mhm.
resources to where you don't need a whole lot of money to do a lot of things these days.
Not
Not to say
anymore.
that it's still doesn't take money. Don't get me wrong, but
It's still an
it's
investment.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yep, yep,
Yeah. So let's talk about the new album.
yeah,
I know you
yeah,
haven't created that much yet with it, but I
yeah.
know the ideas are brewing. They're there. Where are you at in the writing process?
Well, all right. So I should probably go back and talk about I mean what I went through to even get here.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through a lot of stuff these last couple of years, as
Yes,
you
you
know.
have.
I know you know.
I do know.
But
Mm-hmm.
I was in a really, really dark place. And I don't know. I'm sure I had people in my ear, maybe even you telling me to get back to my music.
I
But
did.
it was
I
I
think I
wasn't I
nagged you about it actually. I was like,
yeah, yeah,
you
and
need to create.
yep. I wasn't, there was a
Yes.
time there where I couldn't, and I've always been somebody that like I always said, oh, I can never be depressed and all this or I can never like want to end it. But I'll tell you, man, like I understand now what it feels like to not want to feel anymore. That's where I was
Mm-hmm.
at. I lost faith in any type of higher power, but thankfully through all of that, when I was at my darkest place, I was literally not just figuratively, but literally on my knees and beg my higher power to help help me. And what's so
Mm-hmm.
funny is, I do talk to a therapist. I'm no shame in that. And I was talking
Absolutely.
to her about the music, and she said, "Do you feel like you?" Because not only did I stop doing music, but I stopped listening to music for like this going back 10 years plus. Like, and music was my soundtrack to my life. I never got in a car without music. I never did anything without music.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Do you feel like you cut off music because you were cutting off your connection to your higher power?" And I was like, wow,
Ooh.
that's so powerful
Mm.
because
That
I
actually
didn't
is.
want to,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to believe or think that there was any such thing as a higher power, that it's like I can't allow myself to be intertwined with something that'll connect me to that. So it was when I heard that and being that I actually from there I was having a day where I just really didn't want to feel anymore. And I was thinking, what do I have to live for? And I don't know if I was on TikTok and I saw this TikTok that had this piano melody behind it. And I telling you, man, like I broke down. I was like, damn. And on a TikTok, you can look at the music that they use. There's a little button you can click and it
Mm-hmm.
says what the audio
It's
is.
actually a great way to learn music. Same
Yeah,
thing with Instagram has that option too. Yeah.
absolutely. So I found it. I went on YouTube and it's this composer. I don't know if he's like faith-based or anything, but it was called oh man, what was it called? Like Holy River Spirit or something like that. And I
Okay.
listened to it and it was just this piano piece. And it was so powerful, man. And it had me. The crazy thing, going back to reaching out to Vidal Garcia, who I hadn't seen this kid in like he's not a kid anymore. 20 years, like
God,
and
what did he say when you reached out?
well, we obviously follow each other on Instagram and everything, but I was on Instagram and I
Mhm.
saw that he was like new beats. So I was like, dude, I hit him up. I was like, hey man, been a minute. I was open with him. I told him that everything that I was going through, I was like, I really think I need to get back to this music. I sent him the YouTube link to this piano piece, Holy Spirit River, whatever. I was like,
Uh-huh.
this right here. Can you, bless you, can you take this piece? Not, and I didn't want him to sample it or anything like that. I was like, can you just kind of take the chord that it's in and the vibe that it's in and play something and make a beat out of it? And he was like, I got you, man. But he was like, yeah, man, it's even though it's been a long time, that's we go way back, and I'm gonna do this for you. I remember when he sent me the beat back, and I was in my car, and I played it for the first time, and I just like got so emotional, man, because he did exactly what I felt it was supposed to be. I went back that night and I started writing my verse, and what I wrote was everything that I had been through, losing my father, losing so much
Mhm.
else in my life. And I called the song Life Eternally. And that's the name of the album. So there you go. That I had to provide all that context because in Life Eternally, like what that means to me is it kind of had a double meaning because at first it came from a place of feeling hopeless.
Right.
Like, and just being in this place and I say a line in that song where it's like, um talking about like I wasn't meant for this cold world, this cruel earth. And when after I'm gone, I'll be up there like looking down. Like I had this idea of like a sense of martyrdom or something to where it was like I'm good, like I can go. And but it's all good because we live eternally. Like, but then
Mhm.
it grew into just like not just being from this place of like hopelessness or like utter, doom and gloom, like, oh, damn, why you got to be so morbid to like, no matter what we go through,
Right.
like, it's embracing our mortality. It's embracing the fact that this life is temporary, but everything that we do, the energy that we are never
We take that with
dies.
us.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we take some with us, or we leave, like the atoms that create us get left,
That's
like
true.
energy permeates,
Like
like
our
what
imprint, energetic imprint.
imprints, all that
Right.
stuff, whatever it
Hmm.
is, whatever it is, we leave so much behind that stays eternal. So I think when you process that duality and are able to understand that, like, man, every moment that we have is eternal while understanding that the moment is fleeting at the same time. So it's like make that imprint, whatever it is, while we can in the moment that we have. And that's the album.
That's so deep.
Yeah. And I will say though, when I first like getting into it, because I had all this music from around when I stopped, like 2014, 2015. That's when I cut it off after that. And I
Was it
actually
stuff
had
that you hadn't recorded yet?
no,
Or
it was recorded. It was
oh,
recorded.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
most of it produced by myself. I had a couple of tracks produced by a couple other producers, and it was solid stuff. And I was like, when I went back to it at this time, like last year, I was like, damn,
Hmm.
I was talking to myself because I realized I was talking a lot about like God and like this sense of a higher power, whatever
Hmm.
God may be. That's just a name, right? But so I was
Hmm.
like, I really wanted to incorporate all this music for this album and maybe do a couple more songs. But now I got like what 6 new songs, and every time I make a new song, mostly produced by Vidal Garcia. The dude's like, man, like he's my the Johnny J to my Tupac, or like my
Mm.
Quincy Jones to my Michael Jackson. This dude is just brilliant. So every time I do a new song, I got a couple other producers as well, but I keep knocking off the old stuff, and I'm like, nah, this ain't it. This ain't it. Because and at one point, I will say, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like I'm old. Like how much? Like I'm an old. I'm a irrelevant old. But you know what? It's so funny, and I'm gonna say this: rap is not a young man's game. I don't care. Like any of these young
No.
kids, come see me. It's on, and I'm my
Okay.
blade is sharper now than it's ever been. I'll tell you that.
Would you have had the same attitude 20 years ago when you first got started?
In the sense, like looking
Well, the whole
forward.
the young man's game versus old man's game, because it really, but it's true though. It is. It's all about an OG with experience, and those are the ones you respect the most because they come
Right.
with wisdom. It is, when do you need to react? When do you need to take a step back and give yourself some time for reflection? And that reflective time is actually like so super important. So I'm with you on that. It's not a young man's game, but the young men sure like to talk, don't they?
I see it from both sides. First off, I'm not an old man yelling at the
No, you're
clouds
not.
hater, especially with hip hop. It's like all these old heads like hating on this younger generation. Like Polo G is one of my favorite artists. I mean, he's been out for a minute, but um, you know, these old heads that are so corny because they think hip hop needs to be stuck in 1995 or something. Like, I'm
No,
not
it
with that.
doesn't.
Now,
It has to
don't get
evolve.
it's got to evolve. Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just
Hmm.
like the old, the boomers or whatever being like, "Oh, you damn millennials." It's like, come on, man. So I get that, and I understand there is a staleness, right? And it goes to kind of what you said. Like there can be a
Hmm.
staleness as we get old, and believe me, like I'll use an example. Actually, Bone Thugs and Harmony, like
Hmm.
innovated the rap game, changed the face of hip hop forever.
Oh my
And
God.
as they
Yeah.
got older, I feel like it got stale because it got a little corny because they kept trying to do the same thing over and over again. And it's like you can't do that. You need to stay relevant by two ways. Like, yeah, like how do we
Hmm.
self-reflect and stay true to who we are? But then how do we actually evolve with the music too? It all has to evolve. We have to evolve ourselves. So then it doesn't become something of being stale or old or young. It becomes a state of relevance, no matter
Yeah.
your age. So I give credit to a lot of these young artists. I mean, they're relevant in their own sense, and a lot of them are extremely innovative. Like
Hmm.
I don't want my shit sounding the exact. I mean, to have that same like boom bap drum loop with like the same little sample. Oh, this is hip hop. Like that's or even like or if you're like from Cali and you want that same, you know, 1993 death row synth, like, and you want to call it like gangster rap, like, dude. So
Right, right. As much as we
uh,
love it, right? That's old school. That's our childhoods right there. However, the evolution's really important. And maybe as you're putting together Life Eternal, maybe this is part of the reason for you knocking off some of the old stuff, right? Because the old stuff was an old part of you, but it was also in an older space in hip hop itself, right? Maybe those songs will still find space in some of your future work, but it does make sense for you to give yourself space to evolve. And maybe that's also part of your spiritual evolution, and, not just musically, but spiritually as well.
absolutely. And I think me coming into my own with the music again has allowed me to see that, to see like, oh, hold on. No, I don't need this. This ain't where I'm at right now. I can
Right.
create right now. But to what you just said, I do have, as long with the Life Eternal album, a Life Eternally album, which should come out in 2026 at some point. I don't have a date yet, because I'm taking my time with it. I do have
Take your
two
time.
projects that are going to come out first. One project is the Amani mixtape, which is over a decade in the making, and that's where all of this is falling back to. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So it's going to be probably like a 7-track little mixtape that'll be available for streaming and all that. That'll be
Sweet.
like all old stuff. And then I'm also gonna release an EP that's gonna be a mix of new stuff and maybe a couple. It'll probably
Hmm.
only have like 5 or 6 songs with that. So in the Life Eternally, we'll have a couple of older songs. I will say there's at least two that I'm not getting rid of.
Well,
That
that's because they're probably meant to be there.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So
That's
yeah,
so
so
exciting.
it'll all get out. That, and that's the thing. Like I just dropped a song called "They Sleep" that I just released. It's available to stream.
Yeah,
Um,
it's already on YouTube, right?
yep.
Yep.
YouTube,
Hmm.
Spotify,
Hmm.
wherever, and iTunes. And even I don't even know if the quality is that great, but it was like, here you go, just put it out there.
Hmm.
Somebody might like it, or it might resonate with them. So
Well, and if you go a long time without putting out music, sometimes it's nice to just get something out there so you feel like you're being productive, while you're working on like the bigger project. So, all right. So we have about 5 minutes left. You want to plug the show?
oh man, that's it, man.
Because
So
we could
first,
talk forever. I mean, honestly, we could
yeah.
talk forever, but we got
Well,
5 minutes left on our Zoom meeting before I have to pay for it.
oh, yeah, I know how they cut it off. So at first, I thought I was just coming back to the music to just have that outlet, and I was like, I'm never performing again. But then of course, my dude fella, Jay fella has to come out of his own retirement. We did that song together, and he's having his own
Yes, we were
album
like, it's been
release
too
party.
long.
Yep. He's having his own album release party. He hits, he's like, hey man, we need to do our song together. And then not only that, he's like, you could do a couple of your own songs. So I'm like, oh man, I guess I'm performing. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna be rocking with my dude, Jay Fella. Everyone's gonna be there from everyone that I came up with a lot, along with a lot of other special guests. It's in Vallejo. Shoot, I don't have the address off the top of my head.
that's okay. I'll plug it on the video. It'll be below.
Yeah, and you guys can
Hmm.
go to any of my Instagram and all that, and you guys can find it. But this Saturday, July 12th, 8 p.m., $15 at the door, and Jay Fella, special guest, Matty Boy, who's been doing a lot of work. I think he's out of Rodeo, um, and hosted by Vidal Garcia. Um, and it's just yeah, man, my first show went over in almost 14 years, so
Are you
excited.
pumped?
Yeah, yeah. I again, I know it's like I the first live performance I ever did when I was 18 outside of house parties. I had nerves, and I went up there, and as soon as I was doing it, I was like, I'm good, and I was that way ever since. But since it's been so long, I can't front. I'm being a little extra like, oh man, I got to make sure I got all this down. But like I said, when we
Don't
started,
overthink it.
once I get up there, yeah, it'll be
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
that.
You'll get that old energy back,
Yep.
and it's like, especially if you know how to channel that energy, that nervous anxiety into power, then great, because not everybody has that ability. Some people freeze, but like for you, it's like fuel, and so it's gonna be fun, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there.
And there'll be more. I'm telling you. Like
Oh
I'm
my
gonna get
God, people are
addicted to it
coming.
again. Watch.
Yes,
Yep.
you will. I'm so
Yep.
excited to see what the future is going to bring. Hopefully there's going to be more shows, you'll be working on the album, it'll be really good for you to have like a creative outlet again. It's something that you've needed for a very long time.
Absolutely.
Well, I love you, brother. Thank you for doing
Love
this
you. Thank you
interview
so
with
much.
me.
Yes.
I am like so happy. You have no idea. I'm so happy you're doing this. It's been way too long. Seriously.
No.
Like Like I just like hug you right now. I'm so
Thank you.
happy.
I got a couple more singles coming out too from the album before it drops. So
Oh,
I want
really?
everyone to
Okay.
be
Do you have
mindful
a
of
time
that.
frame on those? Or are you going to keep us like waiting?
We'll see. They'll be coming up maybe in August. That's my birthday month. So
Yay!
I got to make sure everything's right. I'm not rushing anything. It'll
No.
come though.
No, and you shouldn't. Like give yourself the time, right? This is
Yep.
the thing that you feel like you've like mistaken in the past where you kind of rush through. And
Yep.
of course, it's out of passion. So give
Yep.
yourself grace for that, right? You had all the passion and all the ideas, right? So now you have an opportunity to take your life experience and organize yourself a little bit better, right? And then just, work on making sure that everything you're pumping out is like good quality. So no, it'll be
It
good.
is, man.
It's good. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
It's beautiful
So
stuff. Thank you.
yes, yes, so proud. So all right, I am gonna call this. We got 2 minutes left before they kick us off. Um, and yeah, so enjoy your chicken.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm having fajitas tonight,
All
so
right. That's what I do like every
yes.
other day.
Right. I know, right? It's like a
Tacos and
staple.
fajitas. Yep. All right. Thank
Fajitas,
you.
right?
All
All
right.
right, hun. We will
Take care.
talk later.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
everybody. So on the outs, everybody, check out his website. All of the information is going to be there: Instagram, Facebook, socials, all the stuff. All right. Much love.
Peace.